this is a note on the grandfather paradox by Brian Garrett of ANU in Argumento, which is the Italian journal for analytic philosophy. So this is cool. So just a little short paper. Here we go. And as always, feel free to ask questions along the way. The philosophy of time travel is, in large part, an attempt to answer the exam question. To what extent, if any, do you disagree with the views defended by David Lewis, and it is eminently readable, The Paradoxes of Time Travel? Alright, so this is an excellent way to, get started, if you're going to do a paper, because it's basically poking fun at an entire philosophy area. The philosophy of time travel is an attempt to answer the exam question. If you're just going to be like real snarky about it, answer an exam question. And then it's not even asking what your opinion on thing, it's just asking why is someone else wrong? Why do you disagree with the view, blah, blah, blah. Which is kind of hilarious. Okay. One of the most interesting and influential parts of Lewis's article is his discussion of what a traveler to the past can and can't do. In particular, can such a traveler kill his own grandfather? In Lewis's thought experiment, we are asked to consider Tim, who evidently dislikes his grandfather and has built a time machine in order to go back to 1920 and kill him many years before Tim's father was conceived. Tim duly travels back to 1920, buys a rifle, and tracks the route of grandfather's daily walk. According to Lewis, Tim can kill grandfather. He has a high-powered rifle, he's a good shot, weather conditions are perfect, etc. On the other hand, Tim can't kill grandfather. Grandfather died in his bed in 1957. Consistency demands, despite his best efforts, that Tim fail in his attempt to kill grandfather, and fail for some commonplace reason. An errant seagull, a distracting noise, an observant policeman, etc. Since Lewis holds that Tim can and can't kill his grandfather, or can't kill grandfather, not his grandfather, grandfather is sort of a title at this point, it might be thought that his position is contradictory. Lewis has a nice reply to this charge. There is no contradiction since can is context dependent. He writes, to say that something can happen means that its happening is compatible with certain facts. Which facts? That determined but sometimes not determined well enough by context. That is determined but sometimes not determined well enough by context. An ape can't speak a human language, say Finnish, but I can. Facts about the anatomy and operation of the ape's larynx and nervous system are not compossible with his speaking Finnish. The corresponding facts about my larynx and nervous system are compossible with my speaking Finnish. But don't take me along to Helsinki as your interpreter. I can't speak Finnish. My speaking Finnish is compossible with the facts considered so far, but not with further facts about my lack of training. What I can do relative to one's set of facts, I can't do relative to another, more inclusive set. I mean, that's a weird way of, I know why the author, of course, put that up, because that seems like they're setting up the things you can and can't do, and then you say, well, you can't kill your grandfather for context dependency, but that seems very different, like a biological necessity about physically being able to form words. I mean, that's why they teach great apes like sign language, because they literally can't make the sounds that we can. But maybe they could do Finnish sign language. But again, the neurology doesn't also work. Still, what exactly? Why can't they learn language? I don't know what the neurology is, but that maybe it can't. Hey, what's up, Lucifer? How you doing today? I hope you're well. What's going on? Got this short paper on grandfather paradox here. Of reading. Things are dumb. I'm okay. Thanks for asking. Grandfather paradox. The paradox when grandfather is when you says, look, if you had a time machine, could you go back in time and kill your own grandfather? I mean, it seems like if you had a time machine, you could go back, and if you were competent enough with, whatever weapons you were using, then yeah, you could. But then, of course, you wouldn't exist, and then how would you have gone back in time to kill your grandfather? It doesn't seem to make sense. So this is a paradox of time travel. It's a very famous one, actually. And the author started off here joking. The philosophy of time travel is, in large part, an attempt to answer the exam question, to what extent, if any, do you disagree with the views defended by Lewis in his eminently readable The Paradox of Time Travel? You don't like that kind of topic? Ah, well, okay. Not everything's for everybody. But, yeah. Well, in that case, you don't have long to wait. This is only 3 pages, and I'm on page 2. But yeah, let me finish up then, and if you have any questions about anything else, you feel free to ask along the way. It's cool. So, yeah. Well, there's no such thing as time travel, so it's irrelevant. Well, there's definitely time travel. We all travel forward in time. There's no travel backward in time, I guess you mean. I mean, I could ask you why not? Like, why not? Just because it makes it impossible that you could go back in time, but you have to explain why not. How do you know? You a Time Lord? You know these things? I mean, maybe you are. Okay. Anywho, so see what the author has to say, though. According to Lewis, then, can judgments are context dependent. Relative to one context A, can do F is true. Relative to another, it's not. In Lewis's example, given the facts about the same structure of my larynx, I need to drink. Excuse me. Yeah. In Lewis's example, given the facts about the structure of my larynx and nervous system, I can speak Finnish. But given a wider set of facts, including the fact that I have never learnt Finnish, I can't. Similarly, given one set of facts, for example, facts about Tim's rifle, his shooting ability, and weather conditions, etc., Tim can kill Grandfather. But given another, more inclusive set of facts, including, for example, the fact that Grandfather wasn't killed in 1920, Tim can't kill Grandfather. Yeah, see, I mean, this is the thing. In Tim's world, Tim's grandfather died of natural causes in the 50s. And so the idea that he can go back to kill him in 1920, in some sense, that doesn't make sense, because for Tim, he died in the 50s of natural causes, and he wasn't shot in the 1920s. But just because something's inconsistent, I mean, we can't guarantee our universe is consistent. I mean, maybe things are just confusing sometimes. So, I mean, that's it. Like, maybe things are just confusing. They're inconsistent. Alright, let's concede to Lewis that there's a sense in which Tim can kill Grandfather. Relative to the facts about Tim's means, motive, and opportunity, Tim can kill Grandfather. Here I want to focus on the sense in which Tim can't kill Grandfather, and on what Lewis has to say about it. Lewis writes, Tim cannot kill Grandfather. Grandfather lived, so to kill him would be to change the past. Yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing. Can you change the past? Would be to change the past. It is, as Lewis rightly notes, logically impossible to change the past or the present or the future. I mean, how is that logically impossible? That makes no sense. I mean, it may be some sort of inconsistency, but logic can handle different sorts of problems. And so I don't really know what sense of logic this is. There might be some sort of limited inconsistency, but a limited inconsistency we can handle nowadays. They could even handle that kind of in 1976 too. No one can make it the case that some event which didn't happen did, or that some event which didn't happen didn't. Maybe, maybe not, but how would we know? It would just be confusing. Unfortunately, the second sentence in the quote from Lewis does not support its first sentence. The impossibility of changing the past implies only that, since Grandfather wasn't killed in 1920, Tim won't kill him then. It doesn't imply that Tim can't kill him then. It just says he won't, not that he can't. Yeah, see, this is the thing. He won't kill him then, but he just that he can't. It just says it won't kill him, not that he can't do it. Indeed, Lewis seems to be endorsing the invalid inference pattern. All right, so not possible A and not A. Then you got not A, so therefore not possible A. Yeah, see, this one of these doesn't really follow. That is, Tim can't both kill and not kill Grandfather. Tim doesn't kill Grandfather, so Tim can't kill Grandfather. Yeah, just because he doesn't kill him doesn't mean that he can't do it. Okay. However, there is a sense in which Tim can't kill Grandfather, but its ground is not the impossibility of changing the past. Its ground is rather the fact that Tim's homicide is self-undermining. As Lewis observes, no grandfather, no father, no father, no Tim, no killing. A self-undermining action is one which undermines a causally necessary condition for its agent's existence in the first place. Suicide, of course, is not a self-undermining act in this sense. Plainly, no agent can perform a self-undermining act. Yeah, like you can't make an act that would have not allowed you to make that act. That seems self-undermining. That is, no agent can make it the case that he never existed. Indeed, a self-undermining act, so defined, would seem to be logically impossible, since its performance requires both its agent exist and never existed. Again, how weird do you want your logic to be? Logically impossible? Well, classically logically impossible, but you can work with this stuff. But of course, that's not what Lewis wants. So here's the question. Why is it logically impossible? Maybe it's just temporally impossible, like in terms of time. Is time consistent? Now, if time is consistent, then you can't be in two places at once, because then there'd be two times at once. Question. Is time consistent like that? Could you have multiple times at the same time? I don't know. I have not studied enough time. Go find me some time and I can look at it. In terms of Lewis's context-dependent theory, we can put the point as follows. Relative to the fact that Tim's action is self-undermining, Tim can't kill grandfather. Kadri Vivellen also holds that Tim can't kill grandfather on the grounds that no matter how often Tim tried to kill grandfather, he would fail. The account offered here is preferable since it explains why Vivellen's conditional is true. Specifically, no one can perform a self-undermining action. Given the preceding discussion, we can see that Lewis is wrong to urge a complete parallel between Tim and Tom. Tom is a normal, non-time traveling inhabitant of 1920. He wants to kill grandfather's partner, who lives until 1960. Tom will of course fail in his attempt, since we have stipulated that partner die in 1960. Thus, Tim and Tom are unlike to the extent that each will fail in their homicidal attempts. However, Lewis says that Tom can't kill partner for the very same reason that Tim can't kill grandfather. Specifically, neither man was killed in that year, and no one can change the past, present, or future. As we have seen, this reasoning is flawed. Furthermore, since Tom's action, unlike Tim's, is not self-undermining, nothing stands in the way of Tom killing partner in 1920, given that he has the means, motive, and opportunity. The whole truth about Tom's situation is he can kill partner, but he won't. Yeah, but time travel could never happen anyway. I mean, you're gonna have to explain to me why time travel could not happen, Lucifer. I mean, we've got all these stories where time travel does happen. Are all those stories wrong? Yeah, probably. But we like the thought of it, and why can't it happen? Are we that convinced of the consistency of time? And I'm not saying time isn't consistent. I'm just saying, give me a reason why. Are we just that certain of our universe? You like the Stephen Hawking approach? Well, I don't know the Stephen Hawking approach. What is the is it like an entropy theory or a physics-based one? I don't know what that is. I'm just guessing here. That's like, what is actually stopping it? Well, of course people believe in a lot of bullshit. But like, we also believe in technology and doing crazy things, and so like sci-fi, we go back in time, like, you know, classic sci-fi, people go back in time and forward in time machines. It's not a new thought. Yeah. So, I mean, of course there's a lot of bullshit, but like, why specifically do you think this one's wrong? I mean, people believe in ghosts. Ghosts, I mean, whatever they are, sure. But like, again, proving a negative is very hard. You can't prove there aren't any ghosts. You can't prove that time travel is impossible. Very difficult. Now, we can say it's inconsistent because of these sorts of paradoxes, but I mean, that's what we're arguing about here? What kind of paradox exactly is there? Is it a self-undermining paradox? And what is so bad about that? Well, that would make some sort of agent-based inconsistency where you do and you don't exist. So, I mean, but Lucifer, who's to say what counts as fiction? In the past, you couldn't fly. Now we fly to the moon. Like, you're gonna say we can't fly? I mean, people couldn't think that we could fly even in an airplane a while ago. That was fiction 300 years ago. Then people started, doing different things. So maybe in the future we will be able to do some of this stuff. I mean, like I said, I've got no grand feeling that like we're going to be able to do anything like grandfather paradoxes, go back and like mess with the future. I mean, I agree that that's unlikely and just kind of ridiculous. But what exactly is stopping us? Yeah, exactly, Lucifera. I completely agree. If like you're saying it can be done, but I'm just saying like tell me where's your reasoning at? I'm on the side of these philosophers who say this stuff is, it doesn't make any sense, and like that's why we don't think we can do it, because we can't make sense of it. It's like, how do you do something you can't even make sense of? You know where to start. But yeah, but like that's kind of not proving the point. That's just proving we just don't understand it right now. Just because we don't understand it at the moment doesn't mean it can't be done. A lot of things we don't understand eventually can be done. So, okay. Yeah, feel free to like drop a link if you find some like Hawking's approach or whatever. Okay, so finishing this up. The same is true of the non-self-undermining attempts to undo the past. Presumably, many actions that Tim can but doesn't perform in 1920 wouldn't undermine his own existence. In these cases, description of the can but won't and not the can't variety apply. Okay, I will get to it in a sec. For example, suppose that Tim never shook grandfather's hand in 1920. Can Tim shake his hand then? Yes, he can, although he won't. Indeed, to think otherwise, to think that Tim can't shake grandfather's hand because it wasn't shaken then, is to succumb to the fallacious reasoning identified above. Yeah, so this is basically saying the author here is arguing that you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't affect the future, I guess. Oh, I know Russell's teapot, but Russell's teapot, that's talking about things you don't talking about things you don't have any evidence for, like things that are like outside your reach. Yeah, it's like you don't want to do that, but again, that doesn't mean the teapot doesn't exist. I mean, like you could go find something out there, but we could go find it if we had better resolution, like cameras and whatnot. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You don't want to say it can't be done. I'm just saying, of course. Like, I'm saying, but why? Why do we think that time travel is impossible when we come up with the ideas? Now, if they're saying, like, it's absolutely possible, then they have to show me how. I completely agree with you. But, like, the idea that, like, time travel is ridiculous, on the other hand, it's not ridiculous that, like, there's a teapot, like, circling the earth somewhere. That's entirely possible. But, like, it's not a... I mean, it's just kind of uninteresting in the sense. Like, you do, like, if I'm insisting upon it, that it exists, then you have to, you need to give evidence that it does exist. But saying that, like, oh no, there is a teapot out there, but like we have to go find it later, I say fine, but whatever, like that's just something for future humans to worry about. Like the same thing here. Time travel, we don't think it can happen, but maybe it can. Like we could go looking for it. Like we could go looking for the teapot. I'll get to the Stephen Hawking after I finish this last paragraph. Okay, in sum, the author is critical of Lewis's resolution of the grandfather paradox on three fronts. First, Lewis gives the wrong explanation of the sense in which Tim can't kill grandfather. Second, Lewis fails to emphasize the right explanation. Tim can't kill grandfather relative to the fact that his action is self-undermining. Third, since Tom killing partner is not self-undermining, Lewis is wrong to press for a complete parallel between Tim and Tom. In Tom's case, there is no fact relative to which he can't kill partner, assuming that he has the requisite means, motive, and opportunity. Okay, this is not terrible. I mean, this is just a short little paper on, like, details in a very famous argument. And that's okay. That's cool. Lucifer says, well, if time travel is possible at some point in the future, they could have already visited us, so why didn't they? They might have. They just didn't announce themselves. They might have very good reasons for, keeping themselves hidden. Like, if you've ever watched Star Trek, they go observe, like, primitive, like, beings, and they don't go say hi to them, because the idea is, like, you let people, like, live out their lives without messing with their societies. And so maybe that's the same thing. Like, they come and view us, like, aliens might come and view us, and they don't, like, come and talk to us, because maybe it's better just to let people figure stuff out on their own. So the idea that they didn't talk to us. Maybe they have very good reasons for not talking to us. I mean, we're idiots. The only explanation for that would be that humans learned to not use technology even if they could, because it would be could be dangerous. I mean, anything from the future would be very dangerous, and so like yeah, maybe it would screw with us worse than we want it to screw with us. Paste. Go. So anyway, let's go take a look at this article. Lucifero Morbis dropped off. All right, so we can read this real fast. We'll see what this is. And this is why we will not have been able to attend Stephen Hawking's time traveler party, at least not in this universe. Okay, March 14th, 2018 was a Wednesday, Pi Day, 139 years after the birth of Albert Einstein. 139 is a happy prime number. On that day, legendary Cambridge physicist Stephen Hawking passed away. June 29th, 2009 was a Sunday, one day before pyramid schemer Bernie Madoff would get sentenced to 150 years in prison. Hawking sat in his wheelchair at a cocktail party at Gonville and K.S. College, Cambridge, beneath a banner reading "Welcome Time Travelers." Invitations were only revealed after the party, so only the host showed up, though he did not provide any specific evidence that he was not himself a time traveler. It was at least partly a stunt for a television show, the sort of combination of serious and silly that Hawking was known for. Yeah, I mean, it's fine to be skeptical about these topics. It's just, if you're going to explain exactly what the problem is here, it gets very, very difficult. The burden on someone saying that it is going to happen, of course, then the burden's on them. That's the teapot, as you point out. If you're saying it's not going to happen, you're free to be skeptical, but then you have to say, well, a lot of things in the past we were skeptical about and then they happened. No, this is fine. This is kind of fun. Because you know what it is? Why not do things that are set up after you die? So, no, it's fun. He did do a party. Okay, so July 15th, 1992 was another Wednesday, the day that Bill Clinton became a presidential nominee. Also, a new issue of the journal Physical Review D was released with a paper called Chronology Protection Conjecture. Yeah, see, this is the thing. People are coming up by theories on why you can't screw with time. There's a protection conjecture of Hawking. In it, Hawking posits that the laws of physics may actually prevent the possibility of time travel, something he would believe, with the occasional caveat or soft spot for M theory throughout his life. It seems that there is a chronology protection agency which prevents the appearance of closed time-like curves and so makes the universe safe for historians, he wrote. He built his argument carefully across 9 pages with lines like, as one approaches a closed null geodesic gamma in the Cauchy horizon, the propagator will acquire extra singularities from null geodesics close to that gamma that almost return to the original point. Clearly, the paper closes with his clearest evidence that time travel is not possible, the fact that we have not been invaded by hordes of tourists from the future. December 24th, 2018 was a Monday, Christmas Eve, and we still don't have any probable routes back in time, at least in this universe. It's still not possible to travel faster than the speed of light. We haven't even gotten close. Wormholes remain theoretical, and we don't know of any exotic matter with negative energy density that would keep one open long enough for a person to pass through. So for now, and 10,000 years from now, the universe remains safe for historians, and we will not have been able to attend Hawking's party, but we still have all the history he made. See, that's nice. Okay, so the question is there a chronology protection conjecture that there's something keeping the history of time safe? We don't know. And the fact that he threw a party, that's nice, but why do people from the future want to go meet Stephen Hawking at this party? Maybe they don't. I don't know. Like, what exactly is the benefit of someone in the future revealing themselves to someone in the past? I don't know if there's any, and if they're really someone who has the technology to go in the past, they have like a technology to make sure we don't catch them. That's all it is. And it's like, you can always make up, this is one of the And like, this is actually a philosophy of science point. You can always make up another hypothesis to say why one of your theories failed. And this is what flat earthers do too. Like, this is a flat earther scheme. No matter how many times you show a flat earther that the earth is round, they come up with some other theory saying, look, it's still flat, but this is why you're mistaken. It's the same thing here. Anytime someone's going to be able to argue for time travel, because you can't prove a negative, you can't prove it's impossible, you can always come up with another scheme showing, hey, look, maybe they are time travelers, but they're too fast for us, they're too smart for us, they got too much technology, and that's why we don't notice it, but they're still shaping us, or they're still visiting us. Who the hell knows? But like, this is why people like to talk about it, because people want to investigate time. Time seems like an interesting thing. And so, you know, this is one way to talk about time and what are the properties of time. Why can't we go back in time and change things and notice that things are different now? Who knows? But okay. And we should always get like plug Atlas Obscura. That's a fun it's a real fun magazine here. Okie doke. So that was it for that one. It was short and sweet, and we also have this. I don't have any idea what he means by like the null geodesic gamma in the Cauchy horizon. Physics is beyond me. Okay. Oh wow, you can buy one of the invitations. That's kind of fun. Here we go. You are cordially invited. Oh, let's see if we can open this up. Let's see if this makes sense. Okay, so this is what the invitation looks like. You are cordially invited to a reception for time travelers hosted by Professor Stephen Hawking, to be held in the past at the University of Cambridge, Gonville and K.S. College, Trinity Street, Cambridge. Location 52 degrees, 12 feet, 21 inches north, 7.074. I don't know how to do I don't know how to read latitude and longitude. 12 standard time, Cambridge University time, 28 June 2009. No RSVP required down here at the bottom. So this is kind of hilarious. Like that, this is what it kind of looked like. But yeah. So you can be invited to go to a time traveler convention with Stephen Hawking. That's great. You know? Yeah. And whoever buys the party invitation, though, has a job to do. I'm hoping copies of the invitation in one form or another will survive for many thousands of years, Hawking said. There's always the possibility that some future time traveler will see it and decide to show up to the party, creating a whole new timeline in one of the many possible universes out there. Yeah, so this is one of the other things that can happen. People make shit up. And so they'll say, look, there's more than one reality, and if you go back in time, your current reality goes off in that direction, and then the new reality goes off in this direction. And then it's all okay. Because you never actually kill your own grandfather, you kill a different person's grandfather in this new world, and that you like. So if you get yourself into a new world, so like you were this person in like this timeline over here, so you're in this timeline over here, then you jump over to this time, like the other timeline, then you're now in that timeline. Granted, you came from nowhere, but like that doesn't really matter. You just show up, but that's not breaking physics or whatever, that like you pop into existence, I guess. Then you're just there, and then you continue this way, and then of course your grandfather's dead. The person who would have been your grandfather in the other timeline, they're now dead in this timeline, but like you're here, and then that timeline just continues as just from that point forward. So, I mean, you could possibly do things like that, where you just have branching timelines, and if once you get out of yours, you can't go back, because then you would be changing the past in your timeline, but you're not. You're changing the past in a different timeline that was the same up until that point when you went into the past. So, fiction stories. We don't know about any of that at all, but it's still kind of funny. Like, you can think about it and you can get out of the paradoxes by just postulating always a new universe when you go back in time. You're going back in time in so much as when you go back into time, you're going to a point that was exactly the same in your timeline as it is in a different timeline, but then at that point they diverge. So you're not actually changing your world. You're changing a separate one, which is okay. Okay, so let's hold on to this. Oopsie, what did I just do?